Welcome to the $1 Million Magic Podcast, where Jennifer Jones talks to industry leaders in the real estate world and beyond. From scaling businesses to manifesting health, wealth, and happiness. It's time to unlock your next level of success.
Hey everyone, I am Jen Jones and I am here today with the amazing Jake Jordan. So, Jake, how long have you been in real estate?
It's been a long journey. I got into the business. I'm coming up on my 8.5, 9-year anniversary shortly. So let's call it 8 years.
It's crazy. I never think about it being that long, right? It just seems like yesterday.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
No kidding. So how old were you when you got into real estate?
I formally got my license just after my 19th birthday.
And why real estate?
For me, I had a weird thing. Well, it's just who I am. I didn't like the idea of going to work for an hourly wage and selling my time for a numerical number. So that was a big thing for me. I had family that had good success in real estate over the years, so that was inspiring, and just seeing the freedom that comes with being your own business.
Yeah, I think that's neat. It's interesting too. I always think of you as being an old soul, right? So for everyone out there, Jake is the most emotionally stable, incredible, patient realtor I think there is on the planet. He does not get rattled. He will not show discouragement, right? You're just so always glass is half full versus half empty. And I would attribute a lot of that actually to your success. Yeah. So this wasn't like a quick start for you in real estate. So you want to go back kind of like how you started and the journey to where you are today, where you're crushing it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey with lots of ups and downs. Over the last couple years since joining the team, I feel like I've hit my stride. I've found the ways to avoid the ups and downs that we all see in the business. Getting started early on, it was a lot of learning. I don't come from a sales background. Again, I got my license as a 19-year-old kid, and I had no experience in sales. I'm an introvert by nature, so there was a lot of learning there as well to learn how to push myself outside of my comfort zone. So my first couple years, it was very slow. Like I think my first T4 for real estate, I think it was like $2,000 for the year. There was next to nothing, but I gave it my all. It was my full-time career. It was all I focused on every day was how to get better, how to show up to be who I wanted to be, not who I was today. And yeah, over the last couple years, again, I found like I've finally hit my stride. I've learned the fundamental things I need to do every day to avoid those ups and downs. And I've worked on my mindset a lot, like you said. I wasn't always a very positive person, but I am now, where I can see that glass half full mindset on everything. And I think the mindset shift to focusing on the positive, not the negative, focusing on the growth opportunities, not the potential losses, has really been a big part of finding my success.
And how did you do that? Okay, so you talked about being an introvert. I'm an introvert as well. I recharge on my own, which is surprising to some people. So how did you overcome that, like that shyness and just kind of wanting to, be by yourself?
I mean, it's still something I battle with daily, but I think the real growth opportunity and the real shift was knowing how to say enough's enough and doing like that pattern interrupt to jump into being my extroverted self and learning how to recharge on my own. Like you said, you learn yourself in this business, you learn what you need. I learned the same thing where after a long day, I want to just go shut down and sit in a dark room and recharge. But in the beginning, I didn't know that. I kept pushing and I kept finding points of resistance where I wasn't having that breakthrough success that I wanted. And I think part of it comes back to not really knowing who I was and what I needed to find that success, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's just again, I struggle with it to this day, still figuring out, coming out of my shell, knowing that I need to do things. But the difference is I do it now. I know to just stop getting in my own head and make the phone calls or hit the doors or go to the appointments, where previously I struggled with that.
Yeah. So when you were building the business, so you were knocking some doors, and then
Yes.
is that where the success came from, or was it more from the dialing? So it's just so everyone knows. So Jake runs our Monday to Friday live dial, meaning people jump on with him, they have leads they're calling or dialing lists, and they'll actually spend an hour on. So everybody's muted on the call. Do you want to explain sort of like how that's run?
Yeah. So I use it. I look at it like when you're in a big sales environment, when you're in the bullpens working with everybody, there's a sense of camaraderie. There's a sense of comfort for an introvert like myself, knowing that everyone's doing the same thing. So that's part of it. Time block to know that every single morning we're getting at least 1 hour of our lead gen in. My metric I track for my lead gen is 10 hours a week. So that breaks down to, on average, 2 hours every day for 5 days, but I fit it in where I can fit it in. I know that I have to get 10 hours a week. For live dial, that allows me to be certain that I'm getting 5 hours of my 10 hours a weekend. And we're doing it with colleagues, we're doing it with like minded individuals. We share our successes, we share our losses. If there's someone that I think I could have converted and I hit a snag point, we talk about it. We learn from each other's successes and losses to be better at it. And yeah, I've been doing that for the past, I don't even know now, 2 years maybe, coaching people on how to call. And it's rewarding to me sharing the stuff I've learned. I find personal enjoyment in that. And seeing other people succeed's been really exciting for me. Like finding that aha that someone, for instance, there was a new agent on our team that recently she found she was hitting a snag point in the conversations that she was having. She'd say the intro, and then after the intro, she's getting a lot of hangups. So we took a moment, we talked about that. We thought, why is everyone hanging up at the same point? So we broke it down and we figured out she wasn't following the exact script that we use. She was trying to
Ah,
make it sound more like herself. So instead of are you looking to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months or just browsing? It was looking to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months, or can I set up a custom home search for you? So getting
oh,
that automatic no and hang up, try the script, follow how we have it written out, and she started getting past that roadblock that she was hitting. So those are the big things with me and why I love live dial, and that's a little bit about what we do.
yeah. Yeah. And I think you've had so much success. So how many listings have you carried, like let's say this year or in the past 12 months?
I a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
I know at one point I think it was 14 or 15 was the total amount I was carrying. Right now, I mean, I've been focusing on getting them sold, so I've slimmed that down a little bit. I think I'm down to 8 or 9 right now. Um, and yeah, wide variety of properties. Things from, I've got a property that's a small little commercial piece of land for 200,000 all the way up to a subdivision for 19.5, which is our current asking. So
Yeah,
big
million.
range.
Yeah. And actually a waterfront too that you
Yeah, a couple
popped up today.
waterfronts. Yeah, I got an indirect that went up today. I've got a direct on Duclos that's coming up next week. So
Amazing.
bouncing around between a bunch of different stuff. I love, I find there's a really cool spot in this business where the price point doesn't matter. You're just attracting the correct people that you're working with, and it's fun. If you find that sweet spot where you know how to attract the right people, again, the price point doesn't matter. It's just always fun. Every day's fun and exciting, and you're working with people that are like-minded, so it doesn't feel like going to work every day.
And when you say like finding the right people, like, so you're talking about finding the right clients. How did you
Hmm.
find the right clients? And was that always happening for you, or is it something that you worked on and were, consistent in?
Yeah, that's a hard one to break down because I find earlier in the business, you're saying yes to things that you shouldn't be saying yes to at that point.
So what
So
shouldn't I say yes to?
crazy overpriced listing, a seller that they're stuck in a certain mindset that doesn't align with your mindset. I don't think it's about attracting the right people. It's about saying no to the wrong people and
Saying
only
no to the
saying
wrong
yes to the
people.
right people.
Yes.
I find that when you're getting started, you've got that scarcity mindset where you want to say yes to every opportunity that's in front of you, and that's part of your growth. That's part of every realtor's journey. But as you get more established, you're getting, either your coaching's getting better and you're coaching those people into the right mindset, or if you can't, you're saying no and suggesting they work with someone who's more aligned with them. I only like to work with people that are aligned with me, and that's where my success has really blossomed.
Yeah, because I think if you're accepting the wrong clients, then it creates a lot of stress, right?
Yes.
So walk us through, like, if you're working with sellers right now, because obviously, things are different than they
Hmm.
were, pre-COVID, even post-COVID. So we've been in a corrected market since February of 2022, 3.5
Hmm.
years. And working with sellers now, like, we're having to say to them, look, if you have a higher priced property, you could be on the market for a year,
Hmm.
2 years. You just sold one, in fact, that had an airstrip and a hangar. You just sold that one. How long did it take you, and what was the price point?
I think it was, the total length of the listing was just under 2 years. We started at 2.99, and ultimately, after multiple price reductions, I believe our final list price was 2.3.
Yeah, and it sold for
Just over 2 million. It was
so.
just under 2.1
Okay,
was the
perfect.
final price.
Yeah, and so how do you, when you're carrying a listing for
Hmm.
almost 2 years, right? And this is for everyone to know, like, this is normal. Like, back in
Yeah.
2014 when I started, it was normal to carry a waterfront property for 2 years. Cancel, relist, changing things up, adjusting. But what are the things that we're doing in order to anticipate the needs of sellers and make sure
Hmm.
that we're providing enough information so they're educated and can help sort of, make decisions on their own about price improvements and things like that?
So for me, one thing I really take and put a lot of effort into is my seller reports
Yeah.
every single week. So when a listing goes live, the first Wednesday, I set that expectation. I say that, welcome to your first seller report. Every week, I'm going to update you on exactly what's going on with your listing. I'm going to give you feedback from every single showing. We're going to talk about comparables, and we're going to talk about suggested next steps, as well as what I'm watching in the market. So that's a big thing for me. I spend a lot of time on it. I probably more time than I should, but it works in my favor, and it's a calculated investment of my time to get the return that I'm getting. So, I mean, for that property, for example, yes, it was just under 2 years of total time on the market without break, too. That's not with a cancel and putting it back on after a couple months. That was almost 2 years straight. Um, on that property, every single week, from the first week it went on the market until the week it finally firmed up, I would send a seller report to the seller, breaking down all the comparables, talking about forecasting next steps. So, for instance, for this week that we're in right now, talking about the upcoming Bank of Canada announcement, talking about the monetary policy report, which is coming out with the Bank of Canada announcement, potential tariffs, all those things I'm referencing every single week. I'm not telling my client what to do. I'm simply pointing out the facts. And then after seeing the facts week over week, after seeing showing volumes, after seeing comparable properties and what they're doing, they make an educated decision. And that's my biggest thing. I meet clients where they're at. I'm not about forcing them to do a certain thing. I meet them where they're at. I help them make an educated decision, and ultimately, based on providing them all the information that I do, they generally make the right decision. So price reductions, cancel relists, all of those things, after seeing other properties do it, after talking about what we need to do to find the right buyer, after talking about the volume of showing that's normal for a property of that caliber, all those things, it leads a client to making the correct decision. So it's just about education, is what it comes down to.
Yes, yes. And we always say telling is not selling, right? Or selling is not,
Yes.
yeah, telling is not selling. Selling is not telling. Either way,
Yeah.
both. And
You
that's
share information.
right. And that's, I think, what you are so amazing at, is being that consultative realtor, asking really great questions, which lead people to think and reflect and then make decisions based on being educated. So yeah, for 2 years, right? That is literally 104 seller reports, guys. So Jake did 104 seller reports. You have to understand too that you're time blocking this, right, Jake?
Yeah. I do it a little differently than some coaches may like, but it works for me, the system that I have. I I'm very specific. I live off my calendar. On my Google Calendar, I break down exactly what I'm doing. I put in the non-negotiables. So lead generation, I've got 2 1-hour blocks. One's for live dial, and one I move throughout the day to fit where I can. I put my showings in my calendar. I put my personal time in my calendar. So I'm going out to a dinner, if I'm going to the gym, whatever, it all lives in my calendar and it's blocked off. So I know I'm hitting my non-negotiables every week.
And how do you think, like your, let's say, your health and your fitness and your personal life affect you in the business?
I mean, it's huge. It all comes back to your mindset. Like if you're living in negativity every day, if you're focusing on the downside of everything, if you're not investing in yourself, being your health, your time, what have you, I feel that that is fundamental in the business. And that's something, again, I struggled with earlier on in the business. I didn't know where I should be investing my time. I didn't know, I honestly, it comes back to not knowing who I was. I didn't know who I was and what I needed to find my success. And once you find it, you're golden. It's just about figuring out how to find it.
Yeah, I love that. And even like personal life at home, like the
Hmm.
fitness part, there's a correlation between, the fitter you are, the healthier you are, and the higher income that you make, right?
Absolutely.
Also, that importance of having, a stable, predictable home life, right? I think it'd be
Yeah,
very challenging if you're in a volatile relationship, let's say, to be, providing stable, emotional response to everything coming in as a realtor, right?
for sure. Yeah, I think our business life is so volatile from day to day that everything else needs to be stable. And that's how I prefer it, honestly. I'm a stable person, so I like having stability in my life. And in real estate, you can't necessarily find that every day, but in your personal life, yeah, it's really important. And you actually bring up a good point. One big aha that I've had in the last year or so was starting to go to the gym in the morning versus the afternoon. I used to be a late afternoon person. Like I'd get my stress out after work and go at like 6 7 o'clock, and it worked, but I felt like I was always chasing my day. I never found I don't know. I just felt like I was chasing my day every single day. So I made the educated decision to just try the morning. I always try to try something new every once in a while. So I started waking up at 5 a.m. and going to the gym at 5:30, and I'd be on my way home for 7. Instead of waking up and rolling out of bed at 7, I was refreshed, recharged, ready to go and conquer the day at 7 a.m. And that's been huge for me. I feel like I've honestly gained an hour and a half of my day just from going to the gym in the morning.
And when did you start that? When was that a thing?
It's been a while. I shifted from afternoons to mornings probably 8 months ago.
And do you see any correlation between that change and your level of production now?
That's funny. I honestly, when you're saying that, it kind of, I realized that, yeah, I mean, in this very interesting market we've had this year, I've had my best year ever. So that's a funny correlation. I didn't click on that one till now.
Interesting, right? It's always just
Wow.
interesting, just reflecting. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
for
think
sure.
for me, I find like I can't go to the gym because of not really consistently because of that back surgery. But I find getting up in the morning and taking Mike, the dog, the standard poodle, and walking him in the woods. He's off leash. I spend, 45 minutes to an hour in the bush walking, listening to, positive, soul filling things. So whatever that is for you, for me, it could be Joel Osteen one day and Ed Milet or, somebody else the next. But I think it's so important the way you start your day, because the way you start your day, like you're doing with, working out and just getting that energy out, getting that balance, that now sets the framework for how you're going to go through the rest of the day, right? So what would you say to people that are struggling with, let's say going to the gym or getting out and going for a walk? How would you suggest that they start?
I think it all comes down to one day. You just start one day. You say, "I'm going to do this today," and then the first week, it's always a struggle. It's never easy for anybody to build a new habit for that first week or two. But once you get in the habit of doing it after a week and a half, 2 weeks, it becomes second nature. I think one thing a lot of people touch on too, for everybody has their different answer. Like for you, it's going for a walk in the woods. For me, it's going to a gym. For someone, it might be going to a pool and going for a swim, or going there's so many different things you can do. It's not all about just going to the gym. It's just you build a morning routine that has you doing some kind of physical activity, and it sets the tone for your day and puts you in the right mindset to accomplish what we need to accomplish in the mornings as realtors.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. And you've been doing a lot of, obviously, like coaching new agents through those live dials. You've spoken on stages at EXP Con. So for our brokerage of 90,000 agents globally, Jake's spoken on different stages. Um, what would be your advice, like let's say to a new agent who's just become licensed? How could that they get going in the business quickly? Like if you could shortcut it, what would you tell them to do?
The first thing would be really focusing on scripting. Learn what you need to say. A big thing a lot of people overlook is their tonality, their upswings and downswings. I find that's huge for new agents. Learning how you should be speaking to assert confidence and to be able to actually coach sellers through what they need to be coached through, because this is a big transaction. This is not a it's not a small thing that we're helping people with. This is a huge part of their lives, and you need to know how to speak and how what you should be saying to build confidence in them, to show them exactly what they need to do and help them accomplish their goals. So I think scripting is a big one, and learning what you need to say. Um, Going out and doing the activities. You're not going to find success by not doing things. You need to put the work in. You need to do open houses. You need to make phone calls. Try everything. Like when I got going, again, I was door knocking, I was making phone calls. We were doing a lot of in person events, getting to know the community, doing social media videos, getting our name out there. There's so many different things you can do. Try them all. Don't have an internal block up and say, I'm not going to do that because that's not who I am or that's not what I like. I mean, I imagine telling myself when I got in this business that in a couple years I'd be speaking on stages or training people, because that's so not who I was and that's not the mindset I was in. But as you find yourself in this business, as you grow and evolve, you change, you grow, and you become different. And it's great. It's something that I am so proud of reflecting on, learning, like seeing how much I've grown. If grade 12 Jake, when I first, like coming out of high school, signed up to get my real estate license, if I had a glimpse into the future to see what I would become today, I would not have believed you. It's so, it wasn't even in my imagination, but I'm here now. So I think you have to push yourself to grow outside your bubble. You have to say yes to opportunities that scare you. Just run into the fire and do things that scare you and do it. Make the phone calls, put in the work, and just above all else, put in the work. It's not, it doesn't come easy. If it came easy, everyone would do it. You got to put in the work.
Yeah, and I think you are just an incredible example of someone who, this was a slow start for you. You did not give up. You stayed in that grind. You stayed on it and in it. You're having your best year ever in a market that other agents are struggling with. I think the average number of deals on Toronto Real Estate Board right now is probably 2 per agent. And there's a lot of agents not even doing 1, right? So we do have that 80-20 rule that 80% or 20% of realtors are doing 80% of the business. You are 100% part of that 80%, if not the 90%, right? Which is so incredible. So with with this, how important, let's say, is mindset? Like, what order would you put, like, the activities, doing daily activities, your mindset versus, I don't know, whatever else you think might be relevant. Like, in
Yeah.
what order should we get things right?
I think everything comes back to mindset first over activity. You have to have the right mindset. And coupled with that is learning how to talk to people, learning the upswings, downswings, the different tonalities.
Give me an
Um,
example. Give me an example. Like, what do you mean when you're saying like upswing,
yeah.
downswing, tonality? What does that mean?
So, for instance, like let's say we're having a conversation with a seller about reducing a price and I want them to reduce their price. If I come in and say, I think we should reduce the price, it doesn't really sound
You sound
confidence
like, yeah, you
inspiring.
sound like it's a question. Is it a
Yeah,
question?
no, right? Like, and that's what your clients are thinking. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, they don't realize it until they record themselves or until they're on a call like live dial and we have a conversation and we find out exactly where that hang up is. Um, Versus if you say, I think we should reduce the price. It's a lot different. The downswing, it asserts confidence. It's allowing your client to believe you and not think that you're questioning things.
Right.
Um,
And
so I
let me
think,
ask you something else. So you're saying, okay, because I know a lot of people say, well, it's scripting, it's insincere, it's right. So what is your advice on that? If I'm a new agent, I say, well, I don't want to be scripting, I don't want to be insincere, right? Are you
mhm,
being insincere by scripting? Like what?
not at all.
So explain that.
Yeah, I think I can speak to that very well because I was one of those people as well. I thought, reading off this piece of paper, this sounds nothing like me. Why am I going to say this? As you have more conversations, you learn how important scripting is and why it's a thing. I think that example I shared earlier about the agent on live dial is a prime example of that. There was a slight change in the script. Tonality was the same, everything was the same, but she was saying something a little bit different than what we all say, and she was getting hung up on time and time again. She shifted the script and tried saying the script that we utilize, and she started getting past that roadblock.
And
So
I was going to say, and break that down for a second. Like,
yeah.
let's, because you said the script, so that our sync script. So go ahead and just do the first part.
So hi, it's Jake Jordan calling from the home search site. I'm calling to update your file. Are you looking to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months, or just browsing on our site?
Just browsing. And why is the just browsing in there? And why would you not change that, Jake?
So this is a trick I share with a lot of new agents. You think of the conversation like a highway. You want to keep the lead on the highway, and the end destination is working together, is getting out on an appointment. So you want to keep them on that highway as long as possible. If you give them a question they can just say no to, that's giving them an exit. They're automatically going to take that exit. So if I say, Jen, are you looking to make a move or no?
No.
You're going to say no
Why?
because I'm a stranger on the phone.
Yeah.
You're going to take that first exit and you're not going to continue on down the highway. So if you shift your mindset and think about the highway, instead of giving them an exit, we're giving them an express lane and we're giving them the collectors, right? So yeah, I'm looking to move in the next 6 months. That's the express lane. We're going farther in the conversation here. If they're just browsing, they're staying in the collectors, but they're staying on the highway with us and working towards that end goal. So it's about giving the lead questions that are not really a misdirect, but it's helping them along the conversation that we want to follow, and
You're giving
that's
them,
working towards the goal.
yeah, you're giving them the out. So
Hmm.
they're like, oh, the out. The out is just browsing, of course, because I can get off the phone. But you're saying, yes, I'm just browsing. Perfect. That's exactly what the site is for. And what prompted your browsing today, right?
Exactly, and that's
So
not a no. That's a
yeah.
question they're going to come back and answer,
Yeah.
and that's you just keep building on that to learn more and figure out what they're looking for.
And what do you think? So there's so many agents that will hear like, "Oh, those are just poor quality leads." What do you think when you hear someone say, "Oh, those are poor quality leads"? Jake?
I get excited because there's more for me. I mean, I've had good success with it, and it's ever expanding. One thing too for a new agent listening to this, as you build your business, you will start to get the return, the repeat business that we all thrive. So that one online lead that you have a conversation with, if you build good rapport with them, if you work with them and show your value, they will refer you to their friends, to their family, to their colleagues, to everybody. And it just takes a few of those multipliers to build a really big business.
Yeah, and I think it's at the end of the day, it comes down to, just showing up and providing that super high level of service. So, Jake does those seller reports consistently, and at a really high level, very detailed. Plus, our office sends out, like most people don't even realize, Toronto Real Estate Board, guys, has Trackster. Okay. So basically, we can set a client up on a search and they're going to get that data every single week of, how many people looked at it, how many people favorited, looked at for, driving directions, where are they located? You can click a heat map and see in the general area they are, and then all the different websites that people are looking at and how many inquiries. So I think, when you couple the seller report, sending them feedback on how they're performing on their social media side. We ourselves we do paid ads on every single property. We have an inside sales department. It's a whole other thing. But then even getting into, like, Jake is instant on feedback. So, the property right now has a showing. I'm in group text with him with different clients. You're on it right away, right? You
It's a focus of mine, yeah.
Yeah. So, and even the open houses, like, okay, it's an open house. This is your feedback from that. Because the truth is, and this is what I strongly believe, if a client has to reach out to us, right? If they actually have to reach out to us and ask one of those questions, we failed. Because we know what, because we manage so many listings, we do so many deals every year, we know what a client's going to ask, right? It's
Yeah.
predictable. A buyer or a seller, you know what they're going to ask. So you have to anticipate their needs. So I wanted to do this podcast with Jake because I believe Jake is one of the most incredible role models in real estate. This is someone that refused to give up, dug in. He could have given up so many times and yet didn't, stayed in it, converts at a super high level, has very high level conversations with clients. He's moved up into high end luxury and going higher. Like, he's doing everything. Jake Jordan is amazing. Starting at 19 years old in real estate, he's turning 27 coming up. He's just been this slow burn, and his consistent way of showing up, improving his skills, improving his mindset, improving his health has taken him to a place where Jake is having his best year ever in 2025, in a year where other agents are struggling. So if you're a brand new agent, or you're an agent, an existing agent now who is not hitting your numbers, you're not where you want to be, Jake is one of the best mentors out there. And our company is global, 90,000 realtors globally. We can help support you wherever you are in the world to get going in real estate. And we can show you how to generate business for free. It's going to be amazing.